Force. That's not how the Force works.
Welcome back to ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy. Now we all know that the Force is extremely powerful. It allows the wielder to do some cool things. You can sense your environment with your eyes closed, convince people to do stuff with a wave of their hand.
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't.
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't.
And even pull a frickin' spaceship out of the sky using your mind. To any new Star Wars fans, these can appear to be pretty massive feats, but throughout the Star Wars stories, there have been other massive displays of Force abilities that many of you have yet to see come to life.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
With Disney Plus opening this IP Pandora box, it's inevitable that more Force users are heading to a TV screen near us. But you might be asking yourself, what can they show us that we haven't already seen? Like when we saw this, fans from around the galaxy got very excited. But why? Why did nerds like me stand up and freak out when our favorite Jedi showed up to play can opener to rescue Grogu and friends? Well, what's important to remember is that outside the main films and television series, there are tons and tons of stories and lore revolving around powerful characters. Jedi Knights, Sith Lords, Inquisitors, Mandalorians, and some of the best Star Wars content out there involves miraculous feats of the Force. And if you've been a nerdy reader like me, all of these amazing examples of the Force have been left to our imagination. So when fans saw this, it was the first time we got to see Luke Skywalker use the Force in a truly badass way. The character of Luke is beyond beloved by millions and millions of people. So to see this hero at the peak of his strength use his powers in ways that we hadn't seen before made some of us quite literally leap out of our seats. But what if we told you there are many more Force abilities that the films and series have not touched? Abilities that are just begging to be used and explored more in the upcoming and existing Disney Plus titles. You would have my attention. I thought so. So let's dive in and explain a few rarely seen Force abilities that we think fans would love to witness. We're even going to throw out a few suggestions on how these abilities could be used in the upcoming seasons of Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, or even the recently announced Kevin Feige film due out in just a few years. So let's start with something that we might have already seen. The Force Light.
Let him go, you filth.
The Force Light is the Jedi's ability to use a bright beam of light against a user of the dark side while engaged in a confrontation. This light is so powerful that it has the ability to weaken or completely sever the power of the dark side from anything the light is projected upon. The first time this was introduced in Tom Veitch's 1993 Tales of the Jedi Part 2. Even in later publications, our good buddy Luke Skywalker uses this ability while on the brink of death against a character named Aboleth, who... Alright, look, it's just way too complicated to explain in this video. But what if this is something we might have already seen used? Remember this?
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Sorry, I meant this. At this point, Leia knew from a premonition during her Jedi training that she would one day give her life for her son. In many cultures, light symbolizes life itself. So Leia surrendering herself to the Force was literally an act of giving her light to her only son, in order for the evil of Kylo Ren to die and Ben Solo to return, just to die a few minutes later. Moving on, the next super cool Force ability is called Force Metamorphosis. Now, we have seen examples of this used already, but we felt this needed a bit more explanation on what it exactly is. Force Metamorphosis is a tool that only the most powerful have the privilege of using. It's the ability to use the Force to alter their physical form into whatever they may please. An animal, a human, creature, you name it. This manipulation of the Force can also project images into the minds of others to allow the Force user to make people see what they want them to see. This was used in the Clone Wars series by the entities known as the Ones. In a test to the Chosen One, two of these characters channeled their form to transform themselves into a giant griffin and even the mother of Anakin, Shmi Skywalker. But maybe we've seen this more recently. Remember this? I'm willing to bet that Grogu here is using the Force to project calming images or noises into these giant beasts who were on the brink of ending lives. Since we know that Grogu was smuggled out of the Jedi Temple during Order 66, his powers might be strong enough to use during these intense moments. In these instances, Grogu is able to push his trauma aside in order to tap into his abilities to project these images and save the thing that matters most to him. You handsome bastard. Let's cross over into the dark side for just a moment. Not the dark side. Don't worry, it's just for a quick second.
Be sure to use your Jedi Force immunity.
My what?
Jedi Force immunity. It's when Jedis create a mental force field around their brains to keep the dark side out.
Ah yes, my Force immunity, which I totally knew about. I was going to talk about Force extraction. This, like its name, is when a dark side user extracts all Force energy from any person, animal, or object. This ability can only be used by those extremely talented in the dark side. Now, we saw a bad example of this in Rise of Skywalker. But we almost got a much cooler version. For those of you who don't know, before He Who Must Be Not Be Named took creative control over the film that would become The Rise of Skywalker, it was originally intended to be titled Duel of the Fates, with Jurassic World's Colin Trevorrow set to direct. Trevorrow co-wrote the original script, which you can still read online, with fellow writer Derek Connolly. But ultimately, Disney decided to bring back J.J. Abrams, which led to the movie as it is now, even though...
Person, calm down.
Sorry. Thank you. In the Trevorrow-Connolly script, Kylo is instructed to train under a Sith master named Tor Valum, a creepy dark alien who's thousands of years old. Now, Valum assisted Kylo in his descent to the dark side and even commended him on the ruthlessness he developed during their time together. After this praise, however, Kylo used his new dark abilities to drain the Sith Master of his power and his life, making Kylo Ren the strongest Sith Lord in the galaxy. Now, the last one might be a bit of a stretch, but boy, would it be cool to see. Let's talk about Force fire. First, let's revisit Obi-Wan's definition of what the Force is.
It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Right, and that energy field even surrounds the microscopic molecules that linger within air. So, technically speaking, Force users are able to move those molecules to the point in which they... This effect has been used in the comics and novels, including by Leia. Granted that she just lit some candles, but still it was cool. Some Force users can even control flames that have already been created. And this brings me to where I would want to see this ability used. Ahsoka Tano. We already know that Ahsoka is one of the most powerful Force users of her time. In her upcoming series, there would be nothing cooler than seeing a student of Anakin, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Luke bust out some Force flames on whatever mission we're going to be following her on. If Ahsoka is anything, it's resourceful, and she's just the kind of Jedi I would expect to surprise us all with her ability to control one of the elements that took the life of her former master. Now, granted, some of these are taken from the Star Wars Legends run, which Disney has declared as non-canon. But I wouldn't be surprised if going forward, Disney just decided to pick up whatever seemed appropriate for the story that they're trying to tell. After all, fan service is super in these days. But what do you think? Are there any abilities that I didn't mention that you would like to see on screen? Are there any Jedi or Sith you want to see introduced in the new series? Let us know in the comments below, or if it's your first time here, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and smash that bell. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.